Dynamics in Music and in Fine Art. Part 1. The treatment of light and depth perception and how they affect our response. This past spring, my husband and I went on a trip to the Tuscany region of Italy, and we enjoyed attending the magnificent Uffizi Gallery in Florence. The artwork was incredible to experience live. I've studied art history in the past, and so I was familiar with the pieces at the museum. However, there's no comparison to actually being there. It reminds me of the live concert experience compared to listening to a recording of a concert. The colors, the shading, and the treatment of light, the composition and depth of the visuals brings the enjoyment to a much higher level. I would like to share with you the connection of light and depth in visual art and how it relates to our music making in dynamics. The first one I'm sharing with you is a pre-Renaissance altarpiece. You'll see there's blocks of color here, no real shadings. This piece was painted around 1290. And you could see there's very little facial expressions. It doesn't look quite natural, and there isn't that much energy. It is beautiful, but it doesn't look quite natural. We can think of this art as teaching tools, as the common people did not read, so they heard the stories from the Bible at church when the priest would give his sermons, and then they would look at the paintings and would help them to understand what was being preached to them. The figures are beautiful, but they do look flat on the surface. Now, we want to compare that with this piece over here. This is actually early Renaissance, very early Renaissance. You see they're starting to get some shading in the fabric in the bottom. You see there's a little bit of contrast in the colors, which makes the figures look a little bit more like they're shaped like real people. But there's still not quite that much expression going on, still not completely realistic. It's sort of like another world. Very nice, but still not the way it's going to look further on. I like to put a contrast there with a piece that it's, let's go to the total opposite spectrum here. Actually, post-Renaissance in the style of very advanced painting. This is a piece by Mussini, and it's from 1828. The title of this piece is Da Vinci in his old age and very ill. And you could see now we're getting into crafting compositionally much more advanced. Rather than blocks of color, we can see, first of all, how they treat the color in a very special way in the composition, if we're talking compositionally. The main theme musically, and in art, in visual art and in music, would be Da Vinci sitting on the bed and really looked like he's really suffering. If you look at the color choice, they have a shimmering coverlet for the bed, and he's in white against, so that these colors immediately pop out. If we look at the man right in the front bending over with the feather in his cap, you can see the composition is such that he's really leaning into trying to help Da Vinci. Maybe he's the doctor at the time. Okay, and you could see now we're getting into expressions. You see the expression of the man with his head bowed, and they took more time to show true emotion here. If you look towards the back, there's a man in the back, and you see it really looks like there's an atmosphere there because the blend of the colors is more washed in the background. So the beauty here is the brilliance of light, and then the shadow and the contrasts. With the shadow and contrast, the dark colors make the bright colors pop out. Visual colors of harmony clash with the shadows to bring out a natural awareness. with the visual consonance and dissonance going on, depth is added. No more flat figures with no expression. The treatment of light makes the composition focus on the subject. If it were music, we would call it the main theme, the movement, the energy, the emotion. This would be the dynamics in visual art. So, what do you think? Let me know if this inspired you. Any add-on ideas are always welcome. My name is Elizabeth Serpanction. I'm the author of Studies for Advanced Piano Technique in an Approachable Manner. My website is www.pianotechnique.guide. That's pianotechnique.guide.